We will now look at the change from the active into the passive voice in the past continuous. So, the fifth is past continuous. We're going to look at the past continuous tense, and in that we're going to look at the changeover of the active voice into the passive voice. And the sentences I have here are: the postman was delivering letters. That's the first sentence. The first sentence is the postman. The postman was delivering. Was delivering letters. The letters. And then we are changing. This is active into passive. How will you do? The letters were being delivered by the postman. The letters were being delivered. Were being delivered. Were being delivered by the postman. Now, let's look at the verb in the past. Was delivering. Past continuous. That is the active. Was delivering. So the first sentence is active, and let's look at the changeover. The letters were being delivered. The letters were being delivered, and this, thus it becomes the passive voice. Passive. Okay? And we are looking at what? Past continuous. The sentence in the past continuous and the changeover from the active into the passive voice. Okay. Our soldiers were defending the town. Our soldiers. Our soldiers were defending. Defending the town. That's the active. Now let's look at the changeover into the passive. The town. The town was being defended. Was being defended. By our soldiers. By our soldiers. So now look at the active and the passive. Let's look at the verb also. In. Our soldiers were defending the town. In the past continuous, it's the active voice. And the second one, change into the passive, we have the town was being. The town was being defended, and that's in the passive. Passive voice. Now let's look at another sentence here. Third sentence. We have here, was the gardener watering the flowers? Was. Was the gardener. Was the gardener watering the flowers? Watering the flowers. Was the gardener watering the flowers? That's the active. Now when you change over into the passive, we have were the flowers being watered by the gardener? Were the flowers. Were the flowers being watered? Being watered by the gardener. Gardener? Question. Now, let's look at the verb here. In the active voice, we have watering. In the past continuous. Was the gardener watering the flowers? Active. And if we change over into the passive, were the flowers being watered? Were the flowers being watered by the gardener? That's the passive. Passive voice. Now we look into one more sentence to make us understand the past continuous. And the last sentence I have here for you is, were the farmers sowing the seeds? Were the farmers sowing the seeds? And that's in the active. When you change over into the passive voice in past continuous, we get were the seeds, were the seeds, were the seeds being sown, were the seeds being sown by the farmers? By the farmers? Now, that's a passive voice. Let's look at the verb here. Were the farmers sowing the seed? Active. That's in the active voice. In the past continuous. And in the past continuous, change over from the active into the passive, we have were the seeds being sown by the farmers? Being sown by the farmers, that becomes the passive. We have learned to change over the passive, active into the passive, in the past continuous. Note the change from the active to the passive voice in the past continuous. The postman was delivering the letters. Active. The letters were being delivered by the postman. Were being delivered by the postman. That's the passive voice. In the past continuous, let's look at the second sentence. Our soldiers were defending the town. Active. In the passive, the town was being defended by our soldiers. Passive. And in the past continuous, in the third sentence, was the gardener watering the flowers? Active. Change over. Were the flowers being watered by the gardener? Passive voice. And finally, in the past continuous, the last sentence, were the farmers sowing the seeds? Active. When you change over. Were the seeds being sown by the farmers? That's the passive. So we learned the changeover of the active into the passive in past continuous in each of these sentences.